Hey guys, Fusebox back on Raid Shadow Legends, and we're going to start diving into specific gear sets, making it easier to figure out how you want to build, cleanse, treat each set of gear, because it makes this game even more versatile than almost any other game out there. Between masteries, unique hero kits, and you being able to gear them any way you want, there's pretty much infinite possibilities with any hero. Your playstyle could be different from mine, but here's what we're going to look at. Savage. Since we're looking at Savage, it makes sense to what Savage does. You put on a 4-piece set and it ignores 25% of the enemy's defense. The question is, that's great. The question is, how great is it? If your gear is mediocre, should you wear a weaker set of Savage versus a stronger set of broken things? People are always telling you it's stats, not sets, but when it comes to nukers, you might change your mind. So here's what I want you to do. This will be fun. Before we get going, in the comments, let me know about how big of a difference do you think Savage is going to make? And I guess what I mean by that, if you can make a build with 200 crit damage and 4,000 attack versus 250% crit damage or whatever, how big of a gap do you think you need to make up for having Savage on? And we're going to jump in and explore it. Keeping that in mind, every enemy in this game has a different defensive value. So, of course, it will change a little bit against different players in arena, things like that. But it is a definite difference. And at the end of this video, come back and be like, all right, I thought I would do better, or wow, it blew my mind. Because I got to tell you, this was a fun experiment to do. When we're talking about Savage, you might as well group up Lethal and Instinct gear. Lethal does the exact same thing. It just gives you a bonus to crit rate. You get this from the Dark Fae in the Doom Tower. Excellent gear. I get really bad pieces. I don't have many good pieces of Lethal. Instinct is not as strong. 15 instead of 25% ignored defense. But it gives you that speed bonus. It's much easier to come by when the Forge Pass comes around. Anybody can earn this stuff. So it might be the best option for you to actually be moving fast enough to do content, but do more damage. And remember, at the end, we will talk about what you're looking for in Savage gear or the other two. Because really, it's a very unique set. So let's jump into it, and then we'll come back and discuss how you want to clean this gear out. Seer is perfect for this test because we don't have to worry about fluctuating attack power, fluctuating defense, anything like that. It's just a crit rate number. So let me real quick put her. I'm pretty much going to redo the test that I did on Discord. Let's throw her in like a 30 or 40% difference in crit damage with and without Savage, and see which way you want to go. We'll be able to explain further as we go. Okay, Seer is so great for this test. I don't even have to roll all this gear up. We could get a little more crit damage if we rolled this up again, but we're at a good number, right? So we're trying to keep this close to 340% as I can, like an even number. Nothing else matters. Remember, we're going to have the same amount of buffs to rip off, the same amount of debuffs up due to the team we bring. So what we're doing is non-Savage, no Instinct, no Lethal gear. We're not ignoring defense, but we're going in with 343% crit damage. Now, let me line her up against probably a Doom Tower wave, something we can watch over and over. And we're going to get a good baseline of the damage she does at 340% crit damage so that we can see at what point is it worth or not worth having Savage. Because you may have a much stronger build without Savage, but we don't know necessarily that it's better. All right, so the best place for me to do this without losing all of my energy is going to be in Doom Tower. And we don't want to get cut in on. We don't want to find any crazy particular waves. We just want to see damage. So as long as we're doing the same single stage with the same heroes, it's going to be just fine. Let's do stage 12 on hard mode. We're going to come in. We will target or watch the same couple of heroes over and over. So let me set this up. Okay, so like in a Doom Tower wave, you're wanting to reset on the second and third stage. We're just really watching the first hit anyways here. So we could add extra buffs, do more damage, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's comparing damage. Let's put this on pause. All right, that was just a hit. So we're going to put up 2 buffs and debuff the enemies like you normally would. Now we're going to go ahead and get some extra buffs to rip off. And here we go. So we're going to put this on ×1 and look at the damage. Let's watch the right-hand side here. Let's watch these two because each hero has different defensive numbers. We're ignoring defense. We want to pay attention to the same enemies. So let's watch the two on the right, 109, 156,000. So really quick, let's replay that. 109, 156,000. Let me even write this down. 109, 156. And let's get a good baseline by doing this several times. So we should be able to actually auto this. Debuffs are all set. 109, 144. Sounds good. Let's do it one more time. We seem to be getting pretty clear numbers. Pretty consistent. All damage, by the way, has a 20% either way variant in this game. So the 144, 156, that's just normal variant. Now we had, that time we had 88 and a little bit higher, something like 170. So let's stick with about 109, 156. That seems to be pretty fair odds. This was done. We'll get back to her in the menu. This was done with 343% crit damage, I believe. Let's see. Without Savage. We're not ignoring defense in any way, but it's done with 343% crit damage. Again, the rest doesn't matter. Let me put her in a new outfit that's far weaker and at least 30%, maybe 40% weaker, and see what kind of damage we get. Okay, we're back in Savage gear. We're going from 343% crit damage down by 30% to 313%. The only difference now is we're going to ignore 25% of defense with the exact same setup. The question is, will 30% difference pan out in favor of wearing Savage or not? So quickly, we'll just go right back in. We're going to hit stage 12. We'll bring that team that I put together back. All right, 30% less crit damage, but we're wearing Savage. We were getting 109, around 150 on the right-hand side. Now we're getting 134, 189. So it's higher. It's higher even though we're 30% less crit damage. We're definitely going to run it several times, make sure that's consistent. So let's just hit replay. We will speed it up until it's her turn. All right. And here we go with 150, 174. And we will do it one more time just for good practice, right? Here we go. Speed this back up. Get back around to her. And yeah, 130, 176. It was consistently on both ends higher wearing Savage gear than it was without Savage gear, even though we had 30% more crit damage. So clearly we could probably go down another 10% and still be matching or beating the 343% crit damage that we had before. It's huge. The difference is huge. So because she's such a clean test, now let's have some fun because I've got a lot of decent, not good or great, but decent Savage gear. And really, I need to mule it on some of my heroes. So let me find some misfit hero that I'm not using. Let's test them out when they do need attack percentage and crit damage in just a far better build without Savage gear, and then a far worse build with Savage gear, and see if we can, let's really push this point home, see if it blows our mind. Okay, we're coming back down to earth. Pretty normal average builds that most of you can probably pull off, or definitely more reasonable. Let's at least look at it that way. I'm going to just use whatever masteries for whatever reason I have that War Master on. We're just going to leave that. It will, that way we're not dealing with Helm Smasher procs. Astralon, he's great. He can hit things. You could build him in many different ways, as we discussed. That's what's beautiful about this game. You could build him to be a control champion, really fast, accurate. He's just usable right now, right? And for an average build in Savage gear, this is pretty reasonable, right? 208% crit damage, nothing crazy. 4,400 attack, definitely nothing crazy. I want to go ahead and write this down. We're at 4,400 attack and 208%. Okay. So the question is, if you can make a build like this, oh, he's at 89% crit rate. We'll just put a crit aura in the lead. We'll keep that in mind. 89% crit rate. which will make it even easier to put a stronger build on him in a moment. The accuracy should not matter. So this is a very normal average build for a pretty good champ, right? Somebody that most of us got for free. And let's go into 12 and let me set this up because we want to test him. And then what if we drop that attack or we gain a lot of attack, a lot of crit damage, everything that you need, but without Savage? What is that? Where's that line, right? Okay, so 4,400 attack, 208% crit damage. Let's just real quick get this going. We're going to do the same thing, same stage, everything. We're going to buff up, which doesn't even much matter, but we're getting the crit damage buff. So that's going to actually help make up for everything. She doesn't need to do anything. And we're going to use this AoE that stuns. Again, we're watching the right-hand side. So let's see what he gets. All right, 37,000, 48,000, right? 37K, 47K. All right. So let's just kind of watch that a few times. This is just a regular average damage dealer in a regular average build. All right, we'll get back in here. I don't know if I can auto this or not. Let's see. Yeah, it should auto straight into him. There we go. 40,000, 46,000. Very similar, especially on the far right. And we will do it one more time, because it's really hard to determine where that actual line is that you can or cannot cross. When is Savage better? When is it not? All right, so we're looking at 35, 46, very similar every time, from 35 to 46,000 on the right hand. So now let's go dress him up. Okay, same guy, but we've got a crit damage set, but nothing that's going to ignore defense. Kind of a weird looking set, but anyways, we've upped him from 4,400 to 4,500 on attack, and we gave him a ton more crit damage, right? He was at 208. Now we're at 316. And let's just see. That should be a huge difference. More attack, tons more crit damage, which will bring me to another point in just a minute. But first, let's go back into stage 12 and squeeze him back into this team again. Find Astalon. Okay, so we were doing... Take this off auto. We were doing about 47,000 and 46,000, sometimes 37,000 and 46,000. We'll slow it down right here and we'll watch him. So we're going for 19,000 somehow and then 49,000. Not much different. Not much different. Let's real quick do this again. Hit replay. We'll speed it up for just a second and then slow it down right here. Yeah, 41,000, 47,000. We are looking very much, we'll do it again, very much the same as when we were down at 208% crit damage, like 100% less with more attack. It is kind of mind-boggling when you really think about it. Yeah, 39,000, 43,000. It's at times even less. Now, again, there is a huge variant, a 20% variant up and down from whatever your actual damage would be. But it definitely looks the same or weaker, right? So again, we went from 208. Yeah, 208% crit damage with 4,400 attack. Where is Astalon? Where's the blues? He's somewhere in the blues. To 316. That's 108% higher on crit damage and 100 higher on attack. And we're doing the same or less just because we're not wearing Savage. I did not change any of my masteries. No tomfoolery. That's it. All right. It is mind-boggling the difference it makes to ignore just 25% defense. I'm going to save you the time. Weak heroes, support type champions that really are not about damage, it's not worth putting them on. I've done the work for you. It's just not. If you're not building a damage build, just a normal average build, it doesn't really pan out. So that's going to make it easier deciding what you want to keep. while I'm here, I just want to talk about how confusing, what a mess Grappler is. I liked Grappler when I was early on. Of course, I started 3 years ago. We didn't have all the heroes and mechanics that we have now. He was excellent for starting out on the clan boss, right? He's got a 2-hitter. It brings weaken, the small version. He's got a 2-hitter that brings 2 weak poisons, and then he shields your team. He's got reflect damage. He was like a really cool hero to get me into Nightmare and then finally get better heroes. But he falls off the map really fast after that. All of those are the weak version. But I was looking at him. He's a defense character. It says he's a defense character. A1 based on attack. A2 based on attack. And then a shield that is equal to the HP of allies, and then an HP ally aura. What a strange character. Yet he's still called a defensive character. That is odd. But I guess back in the day, the shield meant defense. So, okay. So the deal is, you don't want to put these kind of heroes in bad Savage gear that you have laying around, which makes it easier to cleanse your gear. You can see I'm putting on what I would consider, at least where I'm at, bad gear, right? What you're looking for in Savage gear is crit rate and crit damage, and you want multiple rolls on one of those two on almost every single piece of gear. That's the truth. When you're looking through, you're looking for extra rolls on crit damage and crit rate, and then whatever else you can get, you're hoping to get maybe a couple of speed rolls or rolls into your main attack stat, defense stat, whatever it is that you're based on. So this roll, this looks like on a lot of gear, this would be a good piece. 2 speed, 1 resistance. This is not what you want on Savage gear. I really wanted to hit, I don't mind hitting 1 or 2 speed, but I wanted the rest to start going into crit damage or attack percentage. That piece, I may hit 16 and see if I get extra crit, but you're really going to want crit rate on almost every piece. But every now and then you'll get these pieces where you get 3 rolls on crit rate. So you can look for other pieces that get 2 or 3 rolls on crit damage. But you'll notice that crit rate is the biggest theme, or a big hit on crit damage on all these pieces of gear. When they start rolling like this, you really might want to consider getting rid of them. You're not hitting the stats that are going to bring that damage. You need 100% crit rate with nukers. You want speed, but you don't have to go crazy on speed. Nukers typically are slow. As long as you can control the other team or speed up your team and get them their shot, they don't have to be all that fast. But here's one, like a good main stat for a defensive character: 1 crit damage and no rolls, but at least it has crit rate on it. Not horrible. It's not horrible, but it's not a good piece, right? If this would have hit 2 on crit rate, 2 on crit damage, this would be so excellent for an HP champion. So these are pieces that just did not quite roll right. When you're going through, you're like this one. It's got all the right stuff, but the rolls are going in the wrong place. The thing is, if you do have all the right stuff and the rolls are a little mixed up, we just showed you can go ahead and mule some of that gear on heroes that you're not using all that much and get quite a bit out of them. It's like building a hero in a much stronger build because you're giving them Savage gear. So it's really simple. If you don't have crit rate and or crit damage and you're not rolling into those, it's probably time to sell it. That's why these little pieces like this, there's just not enough here. But I will try out some blue pieces, because if I get 2 hits on crit rate, it's definitely possible that will fill a slot for another champion. As well as, remember, heroes like Seer. I, for a long time, used a flat defense stat chest because it had, I believe, 3 rolls on crit rate, and it helped her, or maybe even crit damage. So in her case, and only her case that I can think of right now, you don't need a good main stat on the chest. Right now, mine's in an accuracy chest, or at least the way I typically run her, she's in the accuracy chest to help get those numbers right. But you could throw her in a flat stat defense if you get good rolls. So remember, there are some pieces that can kind of break the mold for special heroes, but you don't need many of those. All right, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something. I know it blew my mind. I knew it was good, but that good, 108,000 extra, 108% extra crit damage, and Savage, it still kept up with less attack. Super good to know. I had fun doing it. Until next time, enjoy the grind.